Hey, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Maya, and today we are talking about Skyhunter by Marie Lu. Is this fierce? Okay, yeah. So we're talking about Skyhunter by Marie Lu. This one was told to me by one of my coworkers, and I listened to it on audiobook. And wow, that was the perfect decision to make. The voice actress who does this book, I felt like I was listening to a blockbuster movie, and that's incredible, especially for one voice actress. There was one voice actress for this entire book, so it was phenomenal. This book follows Talon, who is a striker. She is mute, so she does sign language. She comes from this nation that had been conquered called Bisaya, and her mother escaped Bisaya as they were getting invaded to this now one of the last freestanding, or maybe the only freestanding nation, called Mara. I just want to say off the bat, this book really reminded me of Attack on Titan. The more I listened to it, at first I was thinking there's this animated show called Ruby, and there are like these beasts. They look like animals, but they're just black, and they have white fangs and sometimes like white pieces of like bone or muscle on them, and they just have a bloodlust for humans and destroying, and there's just like a bunch of anger and rage inside them. So I was like, oh, this is like Ruby. But then the more she just started describing it, the more I was thinking of Attack on Titan, where you have these beasts are actually, and they call them ghosts, there are mutant war creatures, but as the story progresses you find out that these are humans that have been turned, and that just really reminded me of Attack on Titan, which has these humanoid titans that eat people. And yeah, you get eaten. Getting eaten doesn't necessarily transform you into a titan. That whole show is like in and of itself a whole other journey, but story. But yeah, so that was the reminder. Plus the strikers have like these swords that they use for killing the beasts, and there's only a specific way you can kill them, and they kind of travel in pairs, and they have these long beautiful blue coats that represent the colors of Mara, and yeah, just totally made me think of Attack on Titan. Not to say that as in it's a copycat, just as in it was a good comparison, I think. So back to the main character, Talon. Talon is doing her thing. She is an amazing striker, and it's not typical for outsiders, non-Marans, to become strikers, but she had a shield, so there's two people work together, and her shield got her into the force. And at the start of the novel, spoiler alert, he ends up dying. He gets killed, and I won't say how, but that means that her place in the striker force is now threatened because she's not a Marin. She might get kicked out because she's a refugee, and she's kind of worried and also going through depression and upset because she let her striker get killed, or her shield get killed. There, in the beginning of the novel, there's mention of a prisoner of war, somebody who has fled what is known as the Carenza Federation, and it is this vast army led by a terrible conqueror that comes in and conquers nations like hers, Bisaya. People that escape, that flee, are considered, enemies. And so they capture them and then they execute them in this gruesome way. This person was supposed to get beaten to death, and I'm trying not to spoil too much, but essentially Talon stops him from getting executed, and as punishment for stopping the execution, the leader of her striker group decides to make him her new shield. So now she has to figure out how to work with this person that doesn't speak her language. She can't verbally speak to him. She signs, which is something that all strikers do because they have to be quiet while they're working to avoid ghosts, the beasts that end up killing people and stuff. So there's like this whole language barrier between the two of them. Not only that, but he is a threat even if he's like in chains and stuff. She saw something in him that made her think that he was worth saving. We later come to find out that his name is Redlin, or Red, and it's very kind of, I feel like red is like blue, or not as in the color, but like a generic name that pops up every once in a while, or a nickname for people with red hair. So Red ends up becoming her shield. Her and two of her friends are trying to figure out how they can use him to destroy the Carenza Federation. And I'm not going to go any further than that. I will just say that I loved the hell out of this book. Oh my god. And I part of me chalks it up to the voice acting. Like, the voice actress, you can tell when Talon was signing to someone, because the way she spoke kind of broke up that aspect of, it just reminded me of somebody signing, and I thought that was really well done. The emotion, Talon felt like a very full, fleshed out character. I won't say all of the characters felt that way, especially Red. I felt like we didn't spend nearly as much time with him. The one thing I will say is they do kind of make it seem like this could be a romance, but it never gets to that point. Talon does remark that she thinks he has developed feelings for her and that she wishes they had more time, but circumstances get in the way. So aside from Talon and Red, her two friends, Adena and Jaren, are there with her through most of the journey. Adena, she's always constantly tinkering with the weapons they use to try to make them better, to try to help them defeat their enemies, whether they're ghosts or Federation army soldiers. A lot of the things that help propel the story move forward, I think, deal with her. Jaren is really sweet. He is the translator most of the time. So in the beginning, when Talon and Red can't understand each other, Jaren helps translate for them and translate a lot of things for other people as well. I really liked them. I think that, you know, this story, would I have enjoyed it had I read it as a book? That's the question. The last thing I read by Marie Lu was Wild Card, which was a sequel to Warcross, and I hated both of them. I mean, I didn't hate them. I did. I really wanted to love them, and I was hoping Wild Card would be better than Warcross, but it ended up not being. And so I was a little hesitant. I know she came out with Kingdom of Black, which I am planning on trying to listen to on audiobook, and I gotta say, this book was stellar. Would it have had the same impact on me had I read it? I'm not sure. There are some, I wouldn't necessarily say cliches, but some convenient things that happen in the book that move it forward, and I don't know. And then the ending of the book was kind of rushed. Like, I had this conversation with my coworker. If you didn't look ahead, and I did, because in the audiobook you can click to see how many chapters are left. If I didn't look ahead, I would have thought this was a standalone novel. And it is not. And I think there's a sequel coming out. I don't know exactly when. I can look it up, actually. The sequel, it looks like, it's called Steel Striker. Isn't in focus? And it looks like it's going to be released in September 2021. So I am looking forward to it. I hope it comes out on audiobook and it's played by the same voice actress. I think this, I'm trying to figure out whose perspective it's going to take moving forward. I will say that the ending makes it seem like it could very well take place from another perspective other than Talon's, but it could very well still be from her perspective. And I'm interested to see how this duology ends. It is listed as a duology. And so my coworker was kind of upset that she didn't know it wasn't a standalone novel. And she got to the end and was just like, oh. And I didn't have that experience because I kind of looked forward and I noticed that at that point in time that this wasn't going to wrap up the way it should if it was a standalone novel. So that's just something to be aware of if you're going into this book. And yeah, A+, A++ for the voice acting. Thoroughly enjoyed the Attack on Titan / Ruby-esque feel to the novel. And honestly, I was telling her that Talon kind of just reminded me of Mikasa from Attack on Titan. Just her cadence and the way she carries herself. They're soldiers, female soldiers, but like, I don't know, they're just the same. So let me know in the comments below if you thought the same thing about the book, if you read it, what your thoughts are. I highly suggest checking out the audiobook if nothing else, and I will be checking out the sequel when it comes out in September. I probably won't have a reaction to it until October and November, but yeah, so with that said, I'm done for today. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you next Saturday. Bye!